Before I put my lip gloss on, I just wanted to let you guys know that it's healed as much as it could in the past week. Look at the earrings that my mother-in-law got me. I hate that you're not gonna be able to fully see them, but you know what I have on. She also got me these cute little witch hats. This story I'm about to tell you is from Matamoros, which again is the Mexico town that borders Brownsville, Texas, and basically a lot of our backyards. So this story is coming from the girlfriend's point of view, but this is regarding her ex. Years ago, she is dating her ex-boyfriend and he works at a funeral home, and there's one particular night where he was called into work because a 7-year-old boy had passed away and his family were requesting services. The parents requested for him to put him in his first communion outfit because he didn't even get to do that. So of course, at the request of the parents, he put the little boy in the first communion outfit. He puts the boy in the hearse and he drives, the coffin with the boy all the way to the cemetery. He had already overheard that the family was going to stay overnight to pray for the little boy, and it wasn't this big thing. It was just going to be very close family members that were going to stay there overnight and leave in the morning. So about 5 to 6 months later, he's driving the hearse and realizes that he's hungry, so he wanted to go and get some food and then leave and eat it at work. So he ends up spotting this taco stand, and he gets out and orders the food that he wants. And the lady responds "You're not gonna buy anything for your son?" Obviously he's taken back and he's like, "My son? I don't have a son. What do you mean?" And she points to the hearse and she's like, that boy that's sitting in the hearse, he's been watching you this entire time. I'm sorry, I thought he was your son. I thought you might want to get him some food too. When he turned to look at his hearse, he also saw the little boy. The same little boy that he had put that communion outfit on 5 months ago inside of his hearse. He got the food, went to the hearse again, and that little boy was no longer there. There was no one in that car. He does say that the drive back to the funeral home was really uneasy because he saw a little boy there. There was somebody in the car, but obviously no one had been there with him the entire time. When he does make it back to the funeral home, he tells his co-workers what happened, and they all thought that was really strange. Anyway, years and years have passed since that happened. Obviously that's not something that he's gonna forget, and again, his ex-girlfriend is telling us the story, and by this point she explains that she is pregnant with his baby. There was a lot of nights where she would wake up because she would feel like if somebody was watching her. So there was one night where again this really weird feeling woke her up from her sleep, and this time she opened her eyes, and what she sees at the foot of her bed is a little boy in what looks like a first communion outfit. She knew that it was a first communion outfit because it was a white suit, and she explains how this little boy was just dead staring at her. She explains that his facial expression was almost as if asking her, "What are you doing here? Who are you?" She was so scared and so in shock with what she was seeing that she felt herself fainting. And this wasn't even the first or last occasion that she would have where she would see the boy. This happened about 3 or 4 times, and she said that every time she was scared, but when it got to the 3rd or 4th time, she would just try to ignore him and go back to sleep. By this point, after seeing him so many times, she decided to tell her now ex-boyfriend what she was seeing in his house because she had just moved in with him. This is when he finally tells her what happened, all those years ago where he had put the boy in the communion outfit, the taco stand story, and how he believes that this little boy has been following him ever since. Obviously, she was very spooked by this, and at this point, years have passed since then, and they had actually already separated, so he is now her ex. But she says that the story doesn't even end there. The way that they keep saying years, I'm this has gone for too long. I'd be so scared. Obviously, they have a kid together and they're very civil, so he continues to tell her things that are happening at the funeral home where he still works even after all these years. His co-workers in several occasions have claimed to have seen him with a little boy just going in and out of hallways or in and out of rooms. Everybody honestly thought that it was just his son that he had to take care of, or maybe he just had to bring him to work with him because he didn't have someone to babysit. But most of those nights his son wasn't even with him, he was with the mom. So yeah, people still claim to see a little boy following him and they think it's his son. He's like, "It's not my son." This story has no ending. This is how it cuts, this is how it ends, probably because it's still going on. I'm just curious to know why that little boy would stick around him, or if it's still that little boy, or is it pretending to be that little boy? Who knows, but what do you guys think? These are more 2-sentence horror stories. I've always had this supernatural ability to know where someone was by looking at a photo of them, so it pained me to tell the mother of a missing child that her daughter was in several different places. It sounds like the ice cream truck, baby. Go outside and see if you can catch it, I said to my daughter. As I pushed her out of the door and hurried down to the basement, I can still hear the nuclear siren wailing and was well aware I only had enough supplies for one person. Bro, what the fuck? I would have died with my daughter, or like try to make it work. Jeez, no mercy. You have to push it in a little bit deeper, she said to her little brother. He nodded and shoved the fork into the electric outlet as hard as he could. Dressed in white with her long blonde hair, the little girl walked meekly between her two captors. The demon child was hard-pressed not to giggle at the fact that the cult members thought she was the sacrifice. Okay, I would watch this movie because whose side would you be on? The possessed girl or the cult leaders? That one's a difficult one. Not gonna lie, like for the orphan too, I was on the orphan side. Have you guys seen that movie? I was on her side all the way. I did not care. I wanted her to end every single... Something's wrong with me. But no, I feel like everybody was, right? The boy asked me, what do monsters look like? The temptation to peel back his father's face and show him the truth was almost too much to bear. The child we rescued just outside an abandoned warehouse was covered in blood, panting, and kept rambling about being held captive in a family that forced everyone to play different roles. To distract her while we walked back to our car, we asked her what role she was playing in this twisted fantasy. She replied, lure. Grandma's spirit will always be with you, my mom assured me. It has been 12 years and she still sits in the corner staring at me every night. I was about to say I wish my grandma did that, but every night, and just staring? No, baby, we have to talk. We have to have a conversation. We need to make sure you're grandma. What I'm about to tell you happened to this guy when he was 6 years old and was involved in a very bad accident. When this accident actually happened, he was asleep in the arms of his then 16-year-old aunt. This actually happened on a bus in Mexico when they were traveling to a different place, and it wasn't just him and his aunt, but in the back of the bus there were more of his uncles as well. He doesn't know what caused the accident. He doesn't even know what happened. All he remembers is that he woke up and a paramedic was already helping him, and when he looked to where the bus is, it was literally flipped upside down. He was actually outside of the bus on the ground, and he has no idea how he managed to get there. When he looked around, he was able to see that some people had passed away, and the other people who were alive were screaming in agony. He remembers crying and asking for his mom, but he also said that his mom wasn't even on the bus traveling with them at the time. In the moment, the paramedics are asking him, like, did he come with somebody? Who was he with? And he said that he doesn't understand why he wasn't able to like say I was with my aunt, with my uncles. He didn't even have anything to identify himself with. They ended up placing him in an ambulance with a complete stranger, and they took them away from the scene. From what he understood later was that the hospital that was really close to the accident was filled with the people who were severely injured, so they took him to this little small clinic that he says it even looked like a little pharmacy or convenience store, which there's a lot of in Mexico. This small little clinic that they took him to was just a few towns over from where everybody who was severely injured went. When they got to that small little clinic, it took the doctor that was inside a while to open that door because apparently he had been asleep since nothing had been happening there. From what it looked like, this little clinic didn't really see a lot of patients on a day-to-day basis, so it was normal for the doctor to get some sleep if he had nobody in there. The ambulance tells the doctor how they found the little boy, and then they left because they needed to go back to the scene of the accident. And when the doctor saw the kid, he was like, you're so lucky, you know, this could have been worse. You only got a few scrapes and bruises. You're gonna be fine. A few minutes later, a cop did show up to ask the boy who he was traveling with and tells them that he would be finding his family, not to worry, and just to get some rest. The doctor ends up staying with him for a little bit, and then he takes them to this room that had 2 beds and tells them to just get some rest and that he would wake him up when his family showed up. Without saying anything, he said that he got onto the bed that was closest to the door, and he ends up laying there with a blanket, and that the doctor closes that door and just goes about his way. He noticed that the doctor didn't turn the light on in that room because he didn't want to wake up the other patient that was on the second bed in there. When he's laying on that bed, he was so scared because he's thinking about his family. He doesn't know if they're dead or alive. And it was also in that moment where he completely forgot about his family because he started to hear that lady that was in the room crying. Again, he was 6 years old, so he was a little embarrassed to ask the lady if she's okay or if there was anything he can do. So he was just lying there just listening to this lady cry. When he had walked into the the room with the light of the hallway, he could see that the lady had been laying there in a fetal position, just with her face away from the door. As he's laying there listening to the lady cry, he can hear like a nurse or a doctor outside having a conversation, and for whatever reason, that conversation that he was listening on made that lady in the room cry even harder. She was crying almost like if she wanted the nurses and doctors to hear her. The conversation with the nurse and the doctor in the hallway ended, but that lady still continued to cry. When all this was happening, his back was facing the lady and he had been pretending to be asleep, but after a while of her crying and crying, he decided to turn over and face her, and he was gonna try to muster up the courage to be like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? But when he turned around and saw her, she was already sitting on the bed and just crying. She was no longer laying down anymore. It was dark in the room, but he could still see the silhouette of her and noticed that in that moment where he looked at her, she turned to look at him, and when she did, he closed his eyes because he didn't want to embarrass her, or like he didn't want her to feel bad that he was just staring at her crying. So he just closed his eyes and pretended to be asleep when she turned to look at him. When he closed his eyes, he says that he could hear that she had stopped crying, and then he could hear that she was getting off of the bed, and from her bed he heard her running to the side of his bed, and he knows that she is standing right above him, like looking at him. Then she gets on the bed with him and is laying in the same bed as him. He could literally feel her breath on him, and he said that as she's laying there next to him, he's pretending to be asleep, that she just starts crying all over again. At this point, they were facing each other. He's pretending to be asleep and she's crying, and then he feels when she turns around, so her back is now facing him. When he finally opened his eyes, he was like, okay, yeah, this lady's laying in the same bed as me. She's crying. I don't know what to do. Her cries then got a lot harder, and it almost sounded like she was in a lot of pain. Because now it sounded like she was in pain and maybe needed a doctor, he grew the courage to be like, hey, are you okay? Do you want me to get somebody? Do you need a doctor? But he says that the lady wasn't responding to him. That's also where he again hears like the nurses or two people outside having a conversation, and this time he's like, let me get them, because how do you not hear this lady crying and she's in pain? She needs help. He goes into the hallway and he doesn't see anybody there, so he kind of walks towards the entrance of the clinic and he doesn't see anybody behind that reception desk. Like, there's nobody there. He then turns around and goes back to where he came from, but goes all the way to the last little office that was there, and when he opened the door, that is where he sees that the doctor is sitting on like a love seat and he's asleep with a blanket over him. He switches the light on and the doctor wakes up with, the light. When the doctor sees them, he's like, hey, are you okay? Is there anything wrong? Are you hurting? And he tells the doctor, no, it's not me. The lady won't stop crying. I think she needs help. The doctor immediately gets up, but he notices that the doctor is bringing a blanket with him, and they go walk towards the room that he was sleeping in. When they got to the room where that lady was crying and in pain, the doctor turns the light on and there is nobody in there. The doctor just looks at him and says, I'm gonna sleep in here with you, but we're gonna sleep with the light on. Is that okay? He was just like, yeah, that's fine. He said that that's all the doctor told him, and in his innocence, he really didn't question it. He just got on the bed with the blanket on him. He faced the wall again. He noticed that the doctor got on the bed where that lady had been, and they both went to sleep. The following morning, they woke up. He said that he never heard that lady cry anymore, and they were still waiting for his family to come pick him up, and that's when the doctor basically confirmed to him that, hey, last night, it was only me and you in this clinic, right? There was nobody else. He later finds out that his uncles were injured, but that they were fine, and that the aunt who had been holding him on the bus, she basically got injured the worst because she protected him when the accident was happening. But he said thankfully they were all okay. And it actually took him like a few months to tell them what happened at that clinic, because again, he didn't know what to make of it. He was a little kid, but he also wasn't that little to where he didn't understand what the doctor was telling him. Can you imagine like being the doctor, like, hey, the lady's crying, there's nobody there, but also like the kid, at least he thought that there was somebody there, so maybe it wasn't that scary, but like she dead ass got on that bed with him. She was crying like, who were the people in the hallway? That place was definitely haunted. Pretty sure the doctor might have known about it as well. But what do you guys think? In the summer of 2019, this guy says that his cousin had asked him to house sit for him because he was going out of town for a few days. He agreed to do it because he really probably needed a break from the city, and his cousin's home was out in the middle of nowhere in a very small town. Now, he does say that he had heard some weird stories about that town and that things would happen, but he was the kind of person that would laugh everything off, and he necessarily didn't believe any of it. So the first night that he stayed there, he says that it was very calm, nothing really happened. I mean, the house was old, so you would hear like the wood creaking, but nothing beyond that. So the following night, he did go to sleep like normal. Again, nothing really happened until 3 in the morning. He got awoken by what sounded like something hitting against the window, but he just thought that maybe it was the wind, maybe it was the trees hitting the window because of the wind, so he really didn't think anything of it. He actually just went right back to sleep without even going or investigating to see where the noise was coming from. So when the morning came and he got up, he decided to go outside and walk around the land, and that's when he noticed something really strange. What he saw were footprints of like a bare foot, but they were too small to be an adult-sized foot. It looked like child's footprints all around the perimeter of the home. He knew that his cousin didn't have kids, he didn't have pets, so it was really strange for him to find child-sized footprints around that house. He tried not to give it that much importance, so he actually started sweeping around the house, removing those footmarks, and just went about his day. And of course, the story wouldn't be told by me if it wasn't scary, so that night, everything changed. He was in the living room watching TV, and that is when he started to hear those strange sounds again. You know, the sounds that he thought was the wind moving the trees onto the window. Well, he started to hear that, except he can hear it a lot more clear and a lot more louder, and he's realizing that those sounds like somebody is running barefoot inside of that house. My cue to fucking leave, because what the fuck? He obviously gets up, looks around the house, and there is nothing. The only thing he noticed was that the wind was really strong, and it made him a little bit uneasy, so he started closing all of the windows and locking the doors. He decided that it was bedtime, and as he got into the room he was sleeping in and laid down on that bed is when he started to hear laughter. It wasn't just any laughter, it was children laughing inside of the house. He said that the laughters were a little bit soft in the beginning, and then they started getting louder and stronger, and it almost sounded like if they were laughing at him. He immediately grabs his phone to call his cousin, but he realized that he had no service on his phone, which wasn't that weird in that area because again, he was in the middle of nowhere. But it was also in that moment where he heard the one thing that made his skin crawl, and that was a little child's voice saying his name, calling him from outside of his window. He's not safe inside, he's not safe outside, he has no fucking service. What the I wouldn't know what to do. You know what? I would pretend not to hear and just go to sleep if I'm being honest. It's happened before. He mustered up the courage to open up those curtains and peek outside and see what or who was calling him. He said that the light to the porch was barely even bright to see anything, but in the biggest tree that was in front of his cousin's house, he could see 3 small children just standing in front of it. They were just standing there very still, looking towards the house, that he couldn't even make out any facial features or even tell you what they looked like. He could only see that they were small and they looked like children. He immediately closes those blinds when he knows that they're staring directly at him, and he locked that bedroom door and he stayed there, ignoring all of the sounds that he was to hear throughout the night. Hits to the door, laughters, a lot of footsteps like they were running, almost like he thinks like they were trying to provoke him, to come outside of that bedroom. He tried to stay up as long as he could, but he doesn't realize the moment that he accidentally falls asleep. When he wakes up, he very cautiously opens that door to the bedroom and sees that there's nothing wrong, there's no children in there, and like nothing's broken, there's no one inside of the house. He decides to go outside and just see if there's anything out there, and he walks around the house, doesn't see anything there, but then he looks down very close to the front door and sees that there were drawings. These drawings were made with like rocks. He said that it looked like they were made with tree branches, and there's leaves and ash, and that there's spirals drawn onto those rocks. He obviously made the decision to not stay another night at that house. He finally gets service and calls his cousin and tells him he's not going to stay anymore and the reason why he will not be staying anymore. The cousin very casually tells him, oh, don't worry about them. As long as you don't go down to the basement room, they won't do anything to you. By the way, his cousin never even gave him that warning. Like, yeah, he hadn't been down there, but like a warning would have been nice. But now he was also a little bit curious about about what fucking room was down in the basement. He went to see what was down there, and he noticed that there was a little door when you went down towards the basement. The door was locked, but he remembered that his cousin had left the keys in the kitchen table, so he went back to get those keys and was gonna enter that room because he wanted to see what was in there. When he entered, he said the room was really small, but that the walls had a lot of different drawings and they were red symbols of spirals as well, like the ones he saw outside. He also noticed that there was a lot of black candles that were already used up, like they were to the bottom, like somebody had already burnt through them. In the center of the room, he said that there was a piece of wood with a drawing that looked like a child, except the child had horns on it. He didn't know what to make of it. He immediately gets out of that room, locks it back up, goes up, packs up all his things, and left and never looked back. Till this day, he has not asked his cousin about that house at all. Like, he doesn't even want to know what the fuck is in there or what's going on or what is his cousin up to. He does say that from time to time, there's moments that he could swear to hear those little laughters in his own apartment, and it almost feels like maybe something followed him there. I have chills. Like, what do you mean something followed you from time to time? You hear a laughing? I would be pissed at my cousin because what the fuck? Not to mention that I would have already been in that little house down in the basement because I'm such a nosy person. Like, I won't steal from you. I won't go through your underwear drawer because that's weird. But like, you're leaving this house to me to like take care of. I'm gonna explore the rooms. Would you not? Be honest. I would have been taken by those children. What if it was a setup? Bitch, what if it was a fucking setup and that guy was just not nosy like me? I would have been gone. He survived. I need to stop being nosy. That's the lesson here. Well, what do you guys think? My mom got me these earrings and honestly, it is on theme for today's video. My lip is healing, trying to. The color's gone a little bit. I think it's getting better. I had a really fucked up dream and I feel like I have to tell you because it turned from like dream to maybe sleep paralysis, but let me explain. So in my dream, I was sitting down in front of these two little girls. One looked like she was around 4, the other one looked like she was around 6. I then started to sing to these little girls, the itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout, and when I said spout, I tickled both of them and they started laughing. Down came the rain and washed the spider out, and then I tickled them again and they would start laughing. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again and I tickled them again and they started laughing. Cute, right? Sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm so nice. I was singing to you. So afterwards, you know, they finished laughing and then the 6-year-old was like, "Can I see your hand?" And I said, "Yeah, here." Gave you my hand. Why the fuck did the 6-year-old turn into this possessed looking fucking girl, bit the shit out of my hand, and I wake up in real life like of how scared I was. Now here's the part where I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Because I wake up, obviously I'm awake, and I make that scary sound because this little possessed bitch just fucking bit me. When I open my eyes, I'm looking at my husband's pillow. Why was there a spider crawling on top of my husband's pillow? So I'm blinking and then the spider is gone. There's no fucking spider. No spider, but like I'm not stuck in sleep paralysis. I'm moving. I'm awake. Why the fuck did I see a spider? I'm scared because a girl bit me, and it was only until like minutes after I'm like, wait, I was literally singing the itsy bitsy spider song and then I saw a spider on my husband's pillow, or I thought I saw a spider because like it could have been sleep paralysis. It could have been hallucination. Why the fuck would she do that to me? The way she turned from like this innocent, sweet little girl that I was just singing to this possessed ass fucking girl that bit the fuck out of me. Also, don't they say like if somebody asks for your hands in a dream to not give it to them? I'm not in control. How am I supposed to say no? What the fuck? Also, the reason why I was able to see like in the room is because I was taking a nap during my lunch break. So there's, you know, sunlight I could see in the room, which is why I could see his pillow and like a fucking spider on it. That little bitch bit me, but scared the crap out of me because she just like a scary movie fucking moment. Anyway, you guys say dreams have meanings. What was the meaning of this? I have not done these in forever. These are 2-sentence horror stories. Can you tell? Yes or no? Earth to Voyager 227, do not return. I repeat, do not. Nothing but static over the comms for 12 days. Then it returned. False alarm, Voyagers. You're clear to return home. Fuck that. Do not go home. Out of sheer boredom, I turned on the radio in my kidnapper's basement only to hear that he had been arrested the day before. I thought they were still searching for me, but then I heard my own voice saying how much I was glad to finally be found. What the fuck? At the dinner table, my brother always spat on my plate when my mom wasn't looking and said that he'd punch me if I told on him. Many years later, at mom's funeral, he said it was the only way to slip the antidote in. I have so many questions now. As he walked into the strange house, he thought the 3 statues looked a bit too realistic. So did the next person who saw the 4 statues. This sounds like Goosebumps or something. That was the police telling me my brother Tyler was found dead in his apartment this morning. I told my boyfriend, my breath shaking with shock and grief. My boyfriend threw his arms around me in a loving embrace and angrily said, "What kind of sick psycho would shoot a decent guy like Tyler?" Who the fuck said anything about shooting Tyler? Interesting. This is coming from Obscuridad Sinistra, so if you know Spanish, please go check out their TikTok so you can see the original video and pictures. And if you don't know Spanish, let me be the one to translate this for you and scare you for a little bit. These parents were able to capture their daughter's imaginary friend in a picture. When they originally took this picture, they didn't see anything behind her that was weird. When they showed the picture to their daughter though, she's like, "Oh look, that's my friend Sophia." And they knew Sophia because it was their daughter's imaginary friend. So when I first saw this, I was like, oh, maybe they thought that it was another little girl in the playground. No, the parents didn't even see this little girl behind her until the daughter pointed her out. Don't say I didn't warn you. How did they not see that? I was gonna say, well, she looks darker, but she doesn't look darker. She looks gray. Like, is it just me? Why is she looking straight at us? Why is she looking straight at us? Oh my god. What if it is a little girl though? She's looking at the camera taking the picture and she's kind of smiling. Or is it just her daughter's imaginary friend that they fucking captured? Oh my god. That's a little girl, but she's gray. I don't know what to make of this. What do you guys think? I'm trying to get ready so I can make videos, and last night I couldn't sleep till 4 in the morning, so then I started biting my lip. It's a bad habit, as you can see. So I'm over here like, let me stain my lips so that it could all be one color. It only made this spot like darker than the rest. So now I'm like, okay, let me use a lip plumper close to that color, but you can still see it. My body is constantly rebuilding that part of my lip. Wipe everything off so you can see. I knew it was bad because I was bleeding, laying in bed bleeding with a fucking napkin like this. Why do I do this to myself? Anyway, I went to my P.O. box yesterday and I got some stuff and I just want to show you guys. Okay, so this first package is from Hilda Lara Butterfly. Thank you so much for sending this to me. Let me show you. Stop staring at my lip. She says, I hope you enjoy these. I just love finding strange things. I like that. Big fan. Hilda, thank you so much. They're little aliens and they're like glittery. Look at these. They're so adorable. Okay, I love these. So will I stop biting my lip? I also got another package from Tanya. It has like a film that you need to take off. That's why it's so like foggy, but I think it's just like decoration. Measuring tape. Earrings that actually work. These are, oh my god, my lips are getting progressively worse. Heart hoops. These are so fucking cute. Look at the blood. So some of this stuff was not meant to me, but it was accidentally sent to me and she was like, just keep it, I'll reorder everything. And thank you so much, but this is probably one that was not meant for me. But look how cute it is. I'm gonna wear it. I don't care. Do I look okay in gold? I don't feel like I look good in gold. Don't get tattoos at 16. You're gonna have a rainbow heart for the rest of your life. These are just like a pack of earrings. Everyone. A lip. Wait, what is this? Line peel off lip liner stain. Shall we try it right now? I'm terrified because I did not read the instructions and I'm just gonna go for it. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this when my lip is fucked up, but dare I say, I need to do this because my lip is fucked up. Are we worried about color? I still haven't made any videos today, and if this is fucked, this is all you're gonna see for the rest of my videos. Kind of cute actually. I thought it was gonna be like red. Ew. Stayed on my fucking bite mark. It's not coming off. Oh! Lip stains 2, Letty 0. I made it worse. Learn from my mistakes. Do not try to stain your lips because you have a cut. It just made my flesh, because there's no lip there. It made my flesh darker. I still have videos to make. I think I have black lipstick somewhere. Last resort. What do I talk like this forever? I don't have to lift or anything. Oh my god, that's kind of fucking scary. Fuck that. I need to go back to the video and see if it was this bad in the beginning. What if I say it red again? Anyway, I guess y'all will end up seeing what I do with my lips. But I just want to say thank you to whoever sent me stuff to my P.O. box. Also, the holidays are coming. Please send me Christmas cards. Like, I'm the kind of person that will keep it forever. Like, I'm literally keeping your note forever. My P.O. box is in my bio, but maybe I'll add it here too just in case. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I love you. It's not that bad. Right.
এই বয়সে আমার তিনটা বউ মরে গেল, তা আবার 1 বছরের মধ্যে একটা বউরে আমি বাঁচাইতে পারলাম না।
কেমনে বাঁচবো? নাম কি? বাঁচে না বেগম। আরে যে তার নামের মধ্যে বাইচে থাকে না, এ জিন্দেগি করে কেমনে বাঁচবো ভাই?
এই শয়তান গোজালা একটু শান্তি মতো মরতে বললাম না আমি।
কি মাইয়ারে পেটে ধরছিলাম আমি
কি করব? আমি তো তিনবার মরতে গেছিলাম। আল্লাহ আমারে মরণের ভিসাটা বন্ধ করে থুয়ে দিছে, আমারে নেয়ও না। তুই আরেকটা বিয়ে কর।
আপনার গ্রামে কি ভালো মাইয়া আছে?
ও খাউরা
মাসে মাসে তার বউ যায় মরি, ও মরি। আরে পাগলা যাওয়া খেলা খুঁজবে এখন আরেকটা পরি।
এই বাড়িতে 2টা মেয়ে আছে, দেখে তো আমি একটি মনে হইতেছে, খোঁজ নিমু।
আপনারা কারে খুঁজেন?
আমরা লোক সরকারি কাজে আসছি।
আমি স্বপ্ন দেখছি। অনেক খারাপ।
এলাকার মানুষজন কয় উড়ি নাকি পাগল।
উড়ি ময়না ময়না। আসসালামু আলাইকুম ডাক্তার সাহেব। ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। দুটো টান দেন। কিছু কিছু সময় বদলাতে হয়।
ভালোবাসাটা দিলাও না, ভালোবাসাটা নিলাও না।
তুই হলো ছোট পাগল, আমি হলাম বড় পাগল।
আলো আধারের